are a Harry Potter fan without telling me that you're a Harry Potter fan. You know what? I'll go first. My father will hear about this.
Wow. Even though I barely use it, I sure do love TikTok. So many wholesome, funny jokes on there. I could just scroll through it for seconds or minutes. Not hours, because I try to have a productive life, but wow, a neat app nonetheless. Oh, what's this? Political TikTok videos. Now, if you haven't had the misfortune of seeing some video on TikTok having to do with politics, please, 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 go live a productive life. Don't watch more of this video. But maybe, just maybe, you've scrolled through and see someone express a political opinion on TikTok. Well, in that case, I welcome you. Welcome to this pit of human existence called misery. So here we go ahead and hop on into it. I don't know if you've seen this video yet. I'm gonna have a link in the comments, but please go ahead and watch the video first. This is from Anala _29, and also known as Lanii, Lanii, I assume? Lanii? Probably Lanii, I would guess.
So when I was younger and I was a Republican, I used to hear the argument all the time that the rich shouldn't have to pay a higher tax rate because even when they're paying the same tax rate as everybody else, they're actually paying more because they have more money to be taxed. And for anybody who's lost already, here's a quick example of what they're referring to and what that looks like. Now, I used to think that that made sense.
I want to break some news to you. It does make sense. And like you just showed, that's math. So it is true that if I am paying $100 to the government and someone besides me is paying $1,000 to the government, they may effectively be paying 10% of their income and I may be paying 10% of my income, although I gotta say that'd be kind of sad. But which number is greater, 100 or 1,000? Never mind. Let me allow you to make your argument. Also, for goodness sake, I just dropped my phone. Also, for goodness sakes, please back away from the camera. Now, I will say, do you remember this? I remember when YouTube was still relatively new, and by that I mean maybe like 2010. When did YouTube come out? I think 2006 or 2007 when YouTube first came out. I think it was probably PewDiePie, although other people certainly did this, would do the dramatic zoom-ins. And I mean, there's times it's okay. I really think that when it was first going on, okay, funny, fair enough, good. It's just not a funny joke anymore. And I may do it once in a while as an occasional joke, but this particular account does it a lot. So if you're into that, fine, follow and watch and laugh. Not funny though, I'm sorry. Zooming in on your face is not a joke, unless you zoom in to make a funny face or something like that. I can appreciate that. All right, let's pause here. Did you see the red text before learning about taxes and economics? So I don't know what credentials this individual has. I don't know if I'm just gonna say Lanii, I don't know the actual name pronunciation, is into tax. I don't know if she is an accountant or if she's an economist or an aspiring economist, meaning she's going to school for economics. I don't know. There are people who are economists that disagree with the tradition or the class of economic thought that I'm in, the Austrian School of Economics. There are people on the left that are economists. That's fine, I understand that, I get that. There are accountants that are conservative or where I'm at, libertarian, and there are accountants who are not like that, who lean left. So I don't know what the credentials of the individual are. I'm not really gonna go to that. I don't find it particularly relevant.
Now, obviously, this logic completely overlooks the fact that that puts a disproportional burden on the lower and middle class because they have less income in the first place. So if they're spending 23% of their income, they have less disposable income to re-stimulate the economy. Okay, so let me ask you this. Who's putting more money, who's giving more money to the government? Don't ask the question, who's giving more of their money to the government? Who is giving more money to the government? And the answer to that would be the rich, right? If I send in my taxes, if I pay my taxes, and mine's about $300 for 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, whatever it is. If I send in $300 and someone else sends in $3,000, who is sending in more money? I'm sorry, I don't find this
compelling so far, but I keep interrupting you, so let's keep going.
But I want to go back to the first point because it's very important, and a lot of Republicans still believe that if everybody was taxed at a flat same rate, then that's what's fair. But unfortunately, that's actually not the case at all anymore. So in 2018, economists put together a study, and for the first time in American history, billionaires actually had a lower effective tax rate than the working class.
Yeah, I'm gonna need a citation on that if you don't mind. Could you at least put up a screenshot? Well, to be fair, I don't really use TikTok much, but I've seen some TikTok videos where they'll put in something in the background or pull up something, or at least, for goodness sakes, comment on your own TikTok video and put in a comment section saying, hey, here you go. They had an effective lower income tax than whatever the rate is, people that are poorer than them. I need a citation for that, okay? Because to my knowledge, I don't think so.
The 400 wealthiest families paid an average effective tax rate of 23%, whereas the bottom half of households actually paid 24.2%. For historical context, in 1980, billionaires paid 47%, and in 1960, they paid 56%. But don't worry, it gets worse. So over the last 30 years, the top 1% have enjoyed $21 trillion of an increase in their net worth. And those are pre-pandemic numbers, which we know increased at a few $1 trillion more in 1 year.
Okay. So what does that have to do with anything, with people's net worth going up or businesses growing? And also, what kind of a moral compass do you have to be angry about that? If you are, maybe you're not, but this sounds like you have a problem with it just from the way you're saying, you know, they've had all this money, all this gain. What was the exact number you used? Over the last 30 years, $21 trillion have gone to the pockets of the rich. Isn't that a good thing? Why would other people's success be a problem? I am happy when people are successful, and I think other people should be too. Just because you're richer than I am, why would I sociopathically or psychopathically hate you for being successful? I should applaud you as long as you did the right thing, as long as you played fair, which maybe that's what you're going to say. Maybe you're going to say they didn't play fair. Maybe you're going to say it was unfair for them to get this money. But you got to show it actually not being fair.
Meanwhile, the bottom half of families actually lost $900 billion in wealth.
Okay, the losing of $900 billion in wealth. How? And think too, if it's because they're going and buying food, they're losing their wealth. I don't really view it as a bad thing whenever I go to the local food line and buy a package of water. Or whenever I have a cold and I go get medicine, I take the medicine and I feel better. I don't view that as, oh, what a curse. My wealth is gone. I view that as voluntary exchange. I was sick, I paid you money, you gave me medicine, I take it and I feel better. I was thirsty, I give you money, you take my money and you give me back a product in return. That's not a loss of wealth. We're both better off.
And that's what we mean when we refer to the economic shift and wealth redistribution in this country. It's intentional.
Okay. That is not how the term wealth redistribution should be or is used. I mean, maybe it is in some of your circles, but every time I hear wealth redistribution, it's not referring to anything that you've just said. It has to do with some scheme of the left to take money from the rich and give to the poor.
It's intentional. It wasn't done on accident. It was done through economic policies and propaganda that pushed a narrative that trickle-down economics would work for the average American when they knew it wouldn't.
Okay. I've got to be careful not to come across as too snarky, which I've already failed so far, so I kind of want to throw caution to the winds, but I won't. When you refer to trickle-down economics not working, have you been paying attention to the last 4 years? I voted for Trump in 2016 when I was a conservative. I did not vote for him in 2020 because I became a libertarian, specifically a voluntarist. But you have to say, looking at the deregulation that he did, didn't it work? The unemployment rate really fell. People got jobs. There was, for a time, more jobs than there were people to fill them. But are you going to just dismiss that and act like, well, that was trickle-down economics and we're not going to call it that? You remember what Hillary Clinton called it? Trumped-up trickle-down. And a lot of people heard that when Trump ran in 2015 and 2016 about trumped-up trickle-down and said, hey, it worked in the 80s. The deregulation brought us money then. Let's do this again. Why not have trumped-up trickle-down? So to pretend that it didn't work and it has never worked, that trickle-down economics just doesn't ever work, have you looked at the unemployment rate in the last 4 years? I mean, this is early Biden's administration. This is 2021 as I make this video. So what do you attribute the growth in jobs to be during the last 4 years? Please explain.
The narrative that was pushed that the wealthier the top got, the more jobs they could create and the better off we would all do is false. It never worked.
Okay, I've already asked Tal. I've already asked for proof. I'm not going to ask again. That's not really fair, so moving on.
What actually happened, unfortunately, is that the wealthy hoarded even more money. They cut more jobs so they could hoard even more, and they crushed any economic policy that would stop them.
Again, a claim for which I need a citation. What policy was crushed that would stop them? And stop them from what? From pocketing more money? And how? How does the capitalist pocketing more money hurt the poor or those who have less than them? There's a really good point made about this in the book Economics in One Lesson by Henry Hazlitt. The myth of by saving money that you're hurting the economy. It's viewed as a bad thing. You have to consider if whoever, it doesn't matter if they're a good person morally or a bad person morally, when they put money in their savings account, the bank is able to take what they have, take this capital, and go out and give people loans. They know, you know what, we just got richer, Mr., for lack of a better example off the top of my head, Bezos just put billions of dollars in our bank account. So now we're going to do loans to Bob's Plumbing, to Rich's Construction Service. That company then goes out, they take the risk, and they make money as a result, and small businesses flourish. They employ people. The people employed by them make money. I am not an economist. I study economics as a hobby, and I know this to be true. And this is why I've said before, and I'll say it again, Economics in One Lesson by Henry Hazlitt needs to be taught in economics courses in this country, in high school and in college. And the fact that it isn't is why we're seeing videos like this.
And both parties are corrupted by donations from the elites.
Wow, something that I agree with. Both parties are indeed corrupt.
And by doing that and ending Citizens United, they entwined finances and speech in this country.
Now, for those of you who aren't really sure what she's going on about, Citizens United versus Federal Election Commission 558 U.S. 310 was a landmark decision of the Supreme Court of the United States concerning the relationship between campaign finance and free speech. I did some reading on the Brennan Center, Citizens United Explained. And I've heard about this case before. I've heard about it from people both left and right. I've heard about it from the likes of Kyle Kulinski and Cenk Uygur, and I've also heard about it from more libertarian and conservative people talking. And there is something to be said about this. This needs to be talked about more because it's weird. It's very strange to say that the idea that you can't give money to a certain organization is a violation of free speech because, and actually Cenk Uygur said this when he debated Ben Shapiro, money is not speech, money is property. I agree with that. Now, here's the thing. The distinction is, so let's say that and the Supreme Court said this. The Supreme Court said, well, you can't prohibit an organization or an individual from giving money to a political campaign or organization, or running ads actually was kind of what Citizens United, the court case, was about, having to do with ads run about Hillary Clinton, I believe. And so the claim was you can't do that. You can't stop this organization, Citizens United, from doing that. It's a violation of the First Amendment or free speech. I would say, no, you can't stop them from doing that because this is a violation of property rights. They have the right. If you have $1,000, $1 million, $1 billion as whoever, or an organization or a billionaire, or you have the property rights to give that money how you choose. You can give it to a wonderful charity and build roads in Africa. You can give that to a political campaign. Either way, you have the property right to do so. And that may not be a popular position, but I believe in the protection of life, liberty, and property. If you own your property, you own your property, and if you don't, you don't.
Which incentivizes them to keep crushing any policy that would help us.
Help us, I assume, meaning those who aren't rich. And again, what is the definition of rich? I mean, is it $400,000 and more per year as an income? I don't know. But how? What policies help the poor? The policies, the answer to that is the policies that allows business owners to create jobs and let people go out, work, and make money as much as possible. Wages rise when the chains are taken off of capitalism. People can pay people what they choose, and if you pay them very little, leave the company and go somewhere that pays you more. That forces companies to pay their workers more. Competition. Solution, I see. Okay, what's the solution? I'm all ears.
The working class has more in common than any other group in this country.
Okay, she's still talking, but let me pause this. Working class needs to set aside all our differences and focus on eliminating billionaires. There's no valid argument where billionaires are okay in a society where children die of hunger and people can't afford health care or housing in the richest country in the world. Do you understand that the only way that amazing medical technology exists, that the only way wonderful organizations that feed the hungry exist is because of rich people? Do you understand that by getting rid of billionaires, which by the way, how do you quantify that? Just 999 million and below is okay? What an arbitrary number to set. And also, how is all this going to come about? Billionaires invest. They don't necessarily always invest in medical technology, but they invest in other companies or with other people. Voluntary exchange. In the end, their money from their hands that they make does go a little bit everywhere. If you're a billionaire, your money goes all around the country, of course. So by the changing of hands, eventually money does go to these medical institutions, you're talking about healthcare, and to people that are dying of hunger or starving. And also, I reject the concept that eliminating billionaires would somehow feed the hungry or help people have better health care. No, the government is what's hurting healthcare. The government is why people are starving because of aggressive, excessive taxation, spending money on wars, war profiteering. On that, you and I may agree, who knows? But it's the government that is to blame. Starvation, unfortunately, we are a fallen species. People will starve. But I understand it with you, and I would agree with you, we can get rates down. We can make it so that less people starve. We can make it so that not nearly as many people are dying of bad health care or dying of starvation. But what's the solution? That's where you and I differ. It's not eliminating billionaires, it's eliminating governments. Not making it more powerful. The classic NPC meme, I have to find it again, with Bernie Sanders' hair and glasses on the NPC. Smash the system by making it bigger.
The working class has more in common than any other group in this country.
Okay, so I kind of got ahead of myself reading what was on the screen. The working class has more in common than anyone in this country. Why? And I'm sorry, but where you see the working class, where you see the rich, where you see the poor, I see individuals. Murray Rothbard goes into this in For a New Liberty. Where you see collectives, I'm an individualist because I'm a libertarian.
And when we finally decide to align and redistribute that money back to us, we could do anything.
We'd redistribute that money. How? How? Legislatively. And maybe she goes into this in future videos, but I haven't seen it. I've watched a few of her videos and I haven't seen anything having to do with, well, policy-wise, let's do this. Is it by overturning Citizens United's court case in the Supreme Court? Maybe that's what you're calling for. I don't hear that explicitly. Maybe it's implicit. I don't know. But how do you do it? Is it just tax the rich? Okay, people have been trying to tax the rich higher for years. Are we just going to try harder to tax the rich? And again, I don't agree with that proposition, but how do you get it done?
But until then, we'll continue to argue amongst ourselves about things that are trivial to the elites because they don't touch anybody's pocketbooks while the system continues to crush us. Economic policies and Citizens United continue to touch everything that we do. And until we start focusing on those, the robbery will continue.
The robbery will continue. Okay, and I have to say, and I know this video has been long enough, over a 3-minute video, if that. I think it's more like 2 minutes and 52 seconds. So this is a long video. Robbery. What is robbery? I've actually made a video about taxation being theft. Please watch it. It was whenever I was doing Lego stop motions. I hope you enjoy it. Okay, I hope you've watched that video. What is theft? Taking something that doesn't belong to you. How is the rich, how are the elites crushing people and robbing them? I know the government does. The government says if you don't give us money out of your paycheck, which it seems that they own, they let us keep some of it. That taxes come out automatically out of most people's paycheck unless you file it on your own. That money doesn't belong to you. How, if you are rich, are you robbing me? Whenever you pay money to Amazon and buy something, do you feel robbed? Do you feel entitled to getting something for free from Amazon? Who's the real loser if that's your mindset? How is it robbery? Please tell me how the rich rob people. Now, if it is a crony capitalist or a corporatist solution, a corporation working with government to smash competition, Okay, is that robbery? Yes, because they're using government, and government is an illegitimate force, and they are stopping competition, which is not free market, which is not capitalism at all. I hate that about corporatism. But if it's not that, where's the robbery?
So the next time you, as a Republican or a Democrat or a leftist or progressive or a liberal or whatever the you're calling yourselves now.
Actually, none of those things. I don't even call myself a whatever I call myself now. I call myself a voluntarist.
Is wanting to argue with the other side. Maybe talk about something we all have in common, like the fact that we're getting robbed from the billionaires.
Again, this use of the word robbed. Maybe you feel like you've told me in this video, but I've watched this video more than once and I still don't understand how people are being robbed by the billionaires. Can someone point this out to me in the comment section, maybe?
Of course, I'm not saying that you'll change everyone's mind. Somehow there's still going to be someone in this comment section that defends Jeff Bezos. But for sake, we need to come together on something, and this should be it. So there's my Monday thoughts.
Jeff Bezos has provided more people with jobs, given people more money, and has been much more productive than any leftist. Commented. Hi there. If you haven't run from your room shrieking in horror at what you just saw, then you should subscribe to my YouTube channel, which you can do so right here. And you should also pay attention and look out for my parodies, for my Posting Politically series, and my Feeling Philosophical series. Thank you for watching today, and I will catch you on the next upload.